Hey everybody, John Malanca here with my beautiful co-host Natasha Trenev, the mother of probiotics. How are you doing, Natasha?
I'm excited. We talk about so many diverse subjects, and all roads lead back to the intestinal tract.
And I thought these are my angel wings over my shoulder. This is the intestinal tract, one clean and not. So, um, topic: the hidden dangers of parasite cleanses as well as mental health. And it's funny because being in this industry, I see both sides. But growing up, I always heard the benefits. And the benefits was for parasite cleanses, improved gut health is just one. Increased energy levels, getting the toxins out of there, enhancing your immune system, basically detoxifying your system in whole. But at the same time, I read other studies that show the top dangers, and again, increased stress and anxiety, disruption of gut health, which is the complete opposite of cleaning the gut health. Um, and basically, here's one too: exasperating other conditions. Sometimes when you do have the parasite die off, the parasites will get back in the bloodstream and bring on something that you aren't aren't fighting already. So let's hear from the expert.
Well, I want everybody to remember that the intestinal tract microbiota composition, and we call this very loosely gut health, is a complex situation. And the problem with the Western philosophy, even in alternative health, is what I call, if you do one thing, you don't have to do anything else. And nothing is further from the truth. So, number one, you have to make sure that you do actually have a parasite. Now, I don't know in America how many people are exposed to parasites. The only thing I do know that since the 1980s, every natural waterway, whether it's a stream, a pond, a lake, a waterway of any kind in the United States is now infested with a very nasty parasite called Giardia. And Giardia and another one called Entamoeba histolytica is 500 times bigger than a bacteria. So it is extremely difficult to get rid of. So if you can imagine, now we're not even going to talk about the worms that you pick up in third world countries. And I don't know if we have a worm problem because I don't see parasite patients. I think you have to go to a specialist. In the old days, you used to call them tropical disease doctors. I don't know what they would call them now, but these people actually specialized in identifying true parasites, because I want to warn you, no matter how important these parasite cleanses are, if you do them regularly, you are going to be vague, not mainly, but dangerously disrupting your whole ecosystem of about 100 trillion microbes that line the 27 feet of digestive tract, because you are taking everything off that wall. And in microbiology, something called a void is not tolerated. So if you clean up the parking spaces on your intestinal wall, now remember, your small intestine is about 20 feet long. And if you were to open it up, it would cover the size of a tennis court. So we're not talking about small spaces here. We're talking about large spaces that, just had a cleansing going through. Yes, maybe you got rid of the parasite, whether it's a tapeworm, whether it's one of the organisms, Giardia or Entamoeba histolytica, but what's left in the wake? And since that system is dynamic, it changes with your perception of reality. It changes with the function of your immune cells, which are constantly stimulated by bacteria and other entities that are in your gut by photon light emission. That's how they communicate. And remember, the bad guys are always trying to take advantage of you and your immune cells by getting themselves attached to a parking space on your intestinal wall. So when you have a cleanse that takes everything off, you got to know that there's a fight to get back into those trillion spaces on your intestinal wall. So when you do a cleanse and you don't do the proper probiotic restoration, you are leaving yourself open. And many people think that if you feel good now, the reason you feel good now, because obviously the parasite was causing toxin buildup and toxins, wear your immune system down, cause continuous inflammation, which again weakens your immune system and propels what we call suppressor cells to be more prevalent in action than your normal killer cell or T cell activity. And so that wears you down eventually, or it gives you foggy thinking because now you've eliminated the beneficial bacteria, which help to produce up to 90% of your serotonin, more than 50% of your dopamine, and the precursors for tryptophan, GABA, and other feel-good chemicals. I won't go into the whole field.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is, number one, make certain you really have a parasite infection. Number two, know that whatever cleanse you're using is going to disrupt the whole ecosystem. It's like we all know about ocean ecosystems and why they're so dangerous to disrupt. Your ecosystem is even much more dangerous when it is disrupted. So you need to be on a full, what I call layering system of Natren Probiotics. You need to be taking at least 3 healthy trinities a day. You need to be taking a single strain probiotic bacteria, one of each at least 3 times a day. You can always call our wonderful ladies and they'll help you structure a customized program for you. But just remember, those who do not pay attention to this ecosystem, which is actually controlling the health or illness of your body, you will eventually pay the price, because you cannot fool around with something so complex with ignorance and not knowing what the consequences can be, because you could end up with an autoimmune disease 5 or 10 years later, and there's no doctor in Western medicine that will ever think that you did something that was so disruptive to your intestinal tract that caused this disease. So it's always, person beware. Be careful of what information you buy. Be careful what you do, because each action has an equal or greater reaction in your gut.
So for our listeners, is there a safe, because I've heard 2 things here, but is there a safe way to do the parasite cleanse? If you are going to do that, or even a cleanse. And let me go back to a cleanse. Are there difference between cleanses and parasite cleanses?
Yeah, some are safe cleanses, but whatever cleanse you do, you're going to have some disruption. What does a cleanse mean? It means getting rid of stuff.
So how does one know that you have a parasite cleanse? I mean, a parasite. I won't mention names, but a dear friend of ours, has an itchy scalp, and it's not dandruff or psoriasis, and she's convinced that she has parasites in her body, and so she is prepping up with your products, and then looking into a parasite cleanse, which I'm sure she'll call you about prior to doing so.
Yeah, well, look, I don't know if the parasite cleanse is going to help her intestinal tract. I was just thinking about that. I think we have to find someone who's practicing tropical medicine. And I used to work with one of the best doctors in the 1980s who was a specialist in tropical medicine. And that's what you need, because they actually know which tests work and which don't work. And so before we go on this journey, I will definitely help to give a protocol, but I'm just telling people this business of thinking you can throw something that takes everything out of your system. You're not only taking out the bad, you're taking out the good. Unfortunately, as I tell people thousands of times, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what it's taken me 55 years to learn. You have to make sure every day in this society, because you have polluted air. I don't care where you live in the United States, you have polluted water, you have polluted food. And so your ecosystem is under attack every day. The stress level that people have in this country, especially if they watch a lot of the news, is enough to destroy any beneficial flora you may have in your gut and your other parts of your body. So, having the right probiotic that evolved with Homo sapiens, and this is not a sales pitch, this is just common sense, is so important in this day and age, because we've done so many things that are wrong, and we're looking for that magic pill, whether it's a parasite cleanse or whether it's a drug to take care of a problem. Unfortunately, those things do not work alone. When you clean something out, you have to remember you have to replant. When you clean your grass and you take everything off, you still have to recondition that grass or that ground with the proper soil and the proper amendments to make sure that you can grow what you want to grow there. It's much more even complicated in your GI tract, on your face, in your throat, in your organs, where all of these bacteria are, because believe me, 20% of the bacteria that are found in your gut are also found in your brain. Your brain is full of bacteria. And now we know that the bacteria are probably the cause of Alzheimer's, dementia and Parkinson's and all these diseases. So we have to get it to a level of maturity. And I hope that makes some comment.
I have an article. You can't see it right here, but I have an article specifically on that. For our listeners, before we jump off here, if you're looking to do a cleanse, products that I would recommend is Digestalac, your Bifido product, and then what about replenishing? The Healthy Trinity, and then what about your Megadophilus, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, so people don't have to remember, we make the 3 bacteria in one super capsule with an oil matrix because the bacteria must survive stomach acid and bile. And they have to survive manufacturing, storage, shipping. And that's what nobody talks about. And the bacteria have to be safe under all conditions. You cannot just be taking a probiotic because somebody puts the name of a bacteria.
Yeah.
You're really playing a Russian roulette game here. Not good. So we tell them, look, take the Healthy Trinity, 1 capsule 3 times a day. Take the Healthy Start System, which has all those 3 bacteria, the Megadophilus, the Bifidofactor, and the Digestalac, at least 1 capsule 3 times a day. Do that for a month and keep then on a replenishing formula for the rest of your life, because it's going to take decades to clean up this mess. Believe me. And what I'm going to say is that each one of those products in the Healthy Start System has a specific function along with this many other functions. And what I want to tell you, since now we're talking I'm hearing now lectures about killer cell activity and T cell activity. And the bacteria found in Digestalac is Lactobacillus bulgaricus, one of the very important bacteria that's found in yogurt starter cultures. And starter cultures are different than just regular probiotic bacteria. But this particular bacteria has decades of studies, and it shows profound stimulation of both killer cell activity and T cell activity. That's your immune system. That bacteria, if those cells are put to sleep, they can't detect viruses, that they can't detect disease in your body. They're just, how shall I say, tampered down where they can't recognize anything. And we can do a more, intense series and say what happens when they can't recognize a problem.
Yeah. Well, I believe in your products. My intestine depends on your products, and before your products, after your products, I feel a lot lighter and cleaner.
Yeah. And remember, we were designed to be a processing biological mechanism of food and elimination of waste without disturbing our immune system. That's the simplistic. So if we learn these 3 things, and in fact, I'm thinking of initiating courses for children on a very simple basis, because I think we have to start teaching about our body's functions at a very early age and stop the ignorance of just, thinking, oh, it's a nuisance. My body's be telling me that it's a nuisance. I'm just going to go to my doctor and get a magic pill and stop the message. That doesn't work.
No. And then I do know when you do blast your body and really strip everything, your immune system is being jeopardized. And so I think for our listeners, before you go do a parasite cleanse, try this protocol with Natasha's Precision Probiotics. Natren Precision Probiotics been around for over 4 decades. I know your Healthy Trinity bottles, I think you sold over 15, 20 million of those.
Yep.
So can't go wrong. And for our audience, I've been taking Natasha's products 6.5 years before I even met Natasha. And
Yeah.
so that when I did meet her, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm on your products. So Natasha, thank you for all that you do, your company, your team, and your husband, what you guys have brought to this world,
Yeah.
being the pioneers. I know you have one other thing. What were you going to say?
Yeah, give him the number, because if you don't remember what I've told you, remember this: 866, the number 4, and then spell out the word NATREN. And you've got dedicated people who will actually not try to sell more than what you need. And they've been working with people for 20 or more years. And this is probably the most important thing you can learn about your health, is your communication and your cohabitation with the bacteria in your body.
Yeah, and on that, you can call Susan, who's at extension 2131, and she's a wealth of information. Been with Natasha close to 30 years. Not only knows Natasha, but knows the products, this company, and the protocols as well. So, blessings to you, blessings to everyone. Wishing everyone health and wellness and a clean intestinal system. Stay healthy, everybody. Thanks, Natasha.
Bye bye now.